I'm here to tell you that as bad as you think things are, they're actually far worse. I am, as Karen said, a researcher, and I'm very good at what I do. A report that I published just 2 years ago in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences, which is on Google's power to shift opinions without people knowing, has been downloaded from PNAS's website more than 87,000 times. It's ranked in the top 1% of all scientific articles that the National Academy of Sciences monitors in all the sciences. It also was featured in Milo's new book. Various stories about my research have typically been broken by the Washington Post, but they've also gotten write-ups in the Conservative Review, and just a couple of days ago in the American Spectator and other conservative publications, including Breitbart. Just 3 weeks ago, my small home in the San Diego area was invaded by a film crew of 12 people from LA, New York, and Europe, led by a man whose work you might be familiar with, Peter Schweitzer, who published Clinton Cash last year. You're all being misled. You're being duped. You don't even realize it. You are all victims of what social scientists call negativity bias. Your attention is being drawn to a protest, or a news story, or an advertisement, an outrageous headline. I call this phenomenon the cockroach in the salad phenomenon. A cockroach in your salad ruins the whole salad. It draws all your attention. This is what's happening to most or all of you here, and you're not actually seeing what some people don't want you to see. We study what big powers in this country don't want anyone to see. That paper I mentioned, PNAS, that showed that if a candidate or a cause is favored in Google's search rankings, for example, that can easily shift 20% of undecided voters toward that candidate with no one knowing that this has occurred. This effect varies demographically. In some demographic groups, the shift can be as high as 80%. We calculated a couple of years ago that because of Google's dominance around the world in online search, that Google's search algorithm has been determining the outcomes of national elections around the world, probably upwards of close to 25% of the time. That's 25% of the world's national elections, with no one knowing that any manipulation is occurring. To answer your question, one of the problems that you have that you're not facing, you are not facing this, is that the most powerful influence machine in the world is very much in one political camp The second most powerful, Facebook, is in the same political camp, and the third most powerful, Twitter, is in the same political camp. This is how opinions are being shaped now, and it has nothing to do with what's in the headlines. It has to do with two things: filtering and ordering. Hey, I thought I had 15 minutes, Karen. Okay. Filtering and ordering. In our newest research, which we won't actually be going public with until early next year, we have been looking at search suggestions. You know those little suggestions you get when you start to type a search term? Well, guess what? We've learned that if you start with a group of people who are undecided on a candidate or a cause, so they're split 50-50, in other words, if they had to vote right now, they'd be flipping a coin. And you manipulate search suggestions the way Google has the power to manipulate search suggestions. You can shift a 50-50 split among people who are undecided to a 90-10 split with no one knowing this is occurring. You may have heard last summer, that Google was suppressing negative search suggestions for Hillary Clinton. My research team confirmed this, and that's when we started doing this line of research, because I kept wondering, well, why? Why would they do that? Well, it turns out if you have 4 positive search suggestions up there, you can get a dramatic shift in the direction of one candidate or cause, easily 35 to 40% shift. If you allow just one negative in the list, this is the cockroach in the salad, the shift drops from 35 to 40% down to 0. One negative. And if you go with 4 negatives, it goes in the other direction, 40% or higher. No one is aware of these things. We are all using these tools blindly. Our attention is drawn to trivia compared to, these effects that some of the folks here have spoken about today. They have very little impact on elections, believe it or not, because we all have our own minds, and we all pay attention to what we believe in, and we ignore things we don't, and that's called confirmation bias. Some of the things that were discussed here today actually impact hundreds of thousands of votes, perhaps at the most. The phenomena that we're studying are impacting the opinions, beliefs, attitudes, voting preferences of billions of people every single day, and there are no relevant laws or regulations in place to stop this. Now, you may have heard that last June, the European Union levied a $2.7 billion fine against Google. What was it for? Bias in their search results. That's what the fine was for. So you can, if you look really hard, you can see that these kinds of manipulations are being done. But in the United States, at the moment, we're pretty much ignoring this. I've had calls from Representative Jim Jordan, whom some of you may know of. I've had calls from Jim Hood, the Attorney General of Mississippi, and others. I mean, there are officials who are kind of beginning to notice that something is odd here. But we need to focus people, not just on the cockroach in the salad. We need to focus on big, new means of manipulation that have never existed before in human history, and they're in the hands of a tiny number of people in a tiny little area in North California, Silicon Valley, who are accountable to nobody except their stockholders, who want them to make as much money for them as they can. That's their main agenda. The only way to get a handle on this is to set up a worldwide monitoring system. My team and I set up a system like this last year to monitor what Google and Bing and Yahoo were showing people in search results during the months before the election. We found consistent pro-Hillary Clinton search bias for almost the entire period that we were monitoring in all 10 search positions on the first page of search results. That's enough to shift, as I put in writing last year, long before the election, at least 2.6 million votes with no one knowing that this manipulation has occurred. Did you notice that she won the popular vote by over 2.8 million votes? Without Google's help, this would have been a very, very close election. If Peter Thiel is in the audience today, we need $10 million to scale up this system so that we can be monitoring what these tech companies are showing us and our kids, I have 5, 24/7. This system must be created to protect us. And I'm just going to leave you with one little thought. What if on election day, Mark Zuckerberg had pressed the enter key on his laptop and had caused go out and vote reminders to be sent to just supporters of Hillary Clinton? Do you know that that would have given her that day an additional 700,000 votes? This is according to Facebook's own research. Now, did he press the button or not? We don't know, because we have no monitoring system in place. We must have such a system in place. If any of you are in a position to help us build this new system, please let me know. Thank you.